as you said, Kodai Senga couldn't find a strike zone. We all saw it. We all witnessed it. He threw 30 pitches. 10 of them were actually in the strike zone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was horrendous. Horrendous. And, I know, give him credit. He's out there. He's trying to do his part. He's trying to be a part of a winning team and gave a winning performance against the Phillies. But the Dodgers were all over him, especially, after he walks the bases loaded. I mean, the game's over. Right? I felt like the game was over right there. Even thinking that the Mets have this special thing about late game comebacks that never, ever even remotely materialized. So it was a bad game. It was horrendous. We'll talk about it today, but I'm more worried about what's going to happen at 4 o'clock today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, getting one in L.A. is the priority, and you didn't get the first one. And now you got this opportunity with Minaya on the mound, and they're going to have a bullpen game, and you really want to split and then come home for 3 at Citi Field. And you talk about everybody having skin in the game, and it's been a theme of yours with the Knicks and others and the Jets. But this Senga thing, we didn't love the first time, but it kind of worked out. But to toss him out there again, I mean, I know it feels like a second guess, but I've just been all over just Carlos Mendoza and Carlos we trust. But it just Senga out there, he really faced nobody. To throw him out in a game one against the Dodgers lineup like that, and he's throwing balls all over the place. It felt like it set the tone for what was going to be a miserable night.
Yeah.
And I just wonder how I'm with you on moving on, trust me, because he got a game, 1 o'clock out there, 4 o'clock here. Let's go. Get the win. Still have faith in them, not losing faith in them. But why so much trust in a guy who has pitched like nothing? You haven't seen him at all.
Well, I mean,
and now what's his role going to be going forward?
They'll try to spot use him if they can. And, again, they also made the decision to bring back Jeff McNeil, not to play and start and all that other stuff, but he's going to be a guy that's going to come off the bench. He came off the bench late last night, get in at bat.
Yeah.
You never know when that's going to be important. And they decided to drop Adam Ottavino, which I don't think there's an argument about any of that. But they lose an arm in the bullpen in a case like last night's game. That's the thing that you always worry about is in these games and in these series is making sure that you have your pitchers lined up right and everybody's doing well. And even, David Peterson last night, he started to get hit. Look, the Dodgers are a really good team. They're a really good team. I think they're much like the Yankees in a sense that during the season, they're so good. Everybody gives them their best shot, and they're going to lose games due in large part to injuries, especially to their starting staff. And the strength of their team is their clutch hitting, and it's going to be their bullpen. So now they will do a bullpen game today, and everybody's like, oh, bullpen game, we got this. I hope so.
No, well, I mean, their last bullpen game didn't give up a run.
They haven't given up a run in, 3 straight games now or 4 straight games?
Yep.
I mean, so they are loaded in the bullpen. And this is like, if there were ever a team that was based on analytics and based on, matchups and everything else, it is the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the fact that Flaherty did pitch as well as he did just cements the fact that they made the right trade at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and it was like at the 11th hour where they ended up getting Flaherty. He was unhittable last night.
Curveball was killing him.
Right. I mean, in the difference between watching those two pitchers in the beginning where, Flaherty is attacking with confidence, and Kodai Senga's nibbling and throwing balls. It just set a tone. If Senga started or Peterson started or it doesn't matter who started, it wasn't going to matter, I think, last night. I think Flaherty was too good. You didn't score any runs. I just felt like it set a bad tone with Senga. But, hell, if you would have lost that game, 3-2 in 15 innings, or you would have gotten blown out like you did last night, you still got to come out here and win and take the game. So
and they're used to stuff like this.
I do not look at last night as the Mets are overmatched in this series after getting their asses kicked.
Yeah, 9-0 wouldn't tell you that.
No way. What?
9-0 wouldn't tell you that. Here's the one thing I'm saying.
You feel like they're overmatched now?
This was like the worst game they've played in 6 weeks. And maybe it was because of the extended, this little extended 2-day layoff or 3-day layoff. It shouldn't have been much.
Yeah.
But there was something to be said about them. It seemed, traveling all up and down the East Coast, going to Milwaukee, going to Atlanta, going to Milwaukee, going back to Atlanta, going to Philadelphia. I'm like, and we were making fun of it that they hadn't slept in their bed yet, and they did. And there's something to be said about just the team being together, traveling around, doing things that nobody expected, and then having these incredible moments where you galvanize the team. And then all of a sudden, now we got the first game of the NLCS, and you're sitting there going, they haven't played in 3 days. And it's been a lot of talking done, and it kind of takes them out of whatever rhythm. And I thought last night, with the way that Flaherty started the game, was more eye-opening to me than the way that Senga did. I mean, because Flaherty was so good.
Yeah.
And then you couple that with Senga being so bad that I never felt like the Mets ever had a chance in this game.
No, yeah, I'm with you. But do you feel now, after just because of this one game, that they're overmatched with the Dodgers? I don't.
I will say this. It comes down to winning today's game. I believe that they have to win today's game. They have to win it. I mean, I know teams have come back, but they have to win this game.
Okay.
And if you talk to a Dodger fan, and I have one in my life, don't talk to him quite as much as I used to, but he'll tell you that the strength of their team is what they're doing today. It's going to be their bullpen arms, and you don't get to see them a second time or third time around. I mean, you get to see if they all do their job, they may get 4 outs, or they may only get 3 outs.
Yeah. Two of the most frustrating things that you can watch as a sports fan,
the Giants
were happening were happening last night. For me, there's two things. There's a whole list. We all have a whole list of things that drive us nuts, but two that are right at the top of that list. You have a pitcher who can't throw strikes, you just screaming at the TV. And another thing is when you have an NFL team that can't score and has all these opportunities to do so, and they can't do it, and then they're missing field goals, and then they're throwing horrendous interceptions at the goal line with a defender in your face. Let me just throw it up into the middle of the field for the hell of it. No. I mean, for God's sakes, 4th and 3, drop pass, and they're moving the ball. They're moving the ball.
Pass. That was an inaccurate throw.
All right. Sorry.
I'm just
incomplete pass.
So Daniel Jones last night, if you really boil it down and you watch some of these throws, they were woefully inaccurate. I mean, even one of the great things about Tom Brady and how great he was the accuracy in which he threw the ball. And sometimes it was low and into the ground because he wanted to protect his wide receiver, or it was high and away, the back shoulder throw that we often talk so much about. And then there's Daniel Jones, who has opportunity after opportunity to make a play or go through his progression, and sometimes he locks on the guys. And it may only be like 6 or 7 throws a game, but those 6 or 7 throws a game are the difference between scoring 7 points and 28 points. And he did it again last night. He did it in the red zone when B.J. Hill hit him. He has his running back wide open in the flat. I know that they're trying to run a play, and he's probably not looking at that running back. That running back is probably part of the camouflage of a particular play, and he's going to come back and he's going to throw a touchdown pass. But B.J. Hill killed the Giants last night. Yep. And he hits Daniel, and it ends up an interception. That 4th down throw to Slayton, the DB for the Bengals is right there, but the ball's behind him. He doesn't have a chance to make a play on it. Like, he can get his hands on it, but the defender is like right there. Yeah. And when you watch Joe Burrow play and you watch him, now he had this amazing touchdown run last night.
Yeah, I mean, how is that even happening? All right, where there's no Giants to be seen.
I'll tell you, because Chris Collinsworth explained it perfectly. What ends up happening is that defenses play. So Shane Bowen calls a man coverage defense. Yeah. And when you have a man coverage defense and you have 5 men rushing, that means you have nobody to protect the quarterback. And if the quarterback, like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, I can think of, Joe Burrow, one of these guys, doesn't run as much, but you got to remember, he was an all-state point guard in Ohio, in the state of Ohio, as a high school player. He's a great athlete. He just never really shows it a lot. He'd rather just stay behind the line of scrimmage. But you saw that he read the defense perfectly, and he's got everybody on his team to the left side of the left hash, and 5 guys are rushing, and he breaks through and sees nobody there. So that's how it happens. It's the defense that Shane Bowen called. But by the way, their defense played great last night. The fact that you held them to 17 points.
Yeah, I mean,
that is an unbelievable defensive performance by the Giants, who once again, are victimized, especially at home, by a team that can't get into the end zone.
Yeah, and Collinsworth also said, on that Chase Brown touchdown run to make it 17-7, it's like the Giants defense, they were there, they hung in, they played their ass off until it just finally broke on that run.
It was after the fourth down play that the Giants couldn't convert. So,
right.
All of a sudden, all the momentum and all the emotion is out of that defense. And I thought the defense played really well last night. I thought that the Giants were competitive, and not that that's anything for an NFL team. But, again, just the inaccurate throws. And part of me, I don't know, maybe this is just me, and I admire Daniel Jones for his toughness. But I don't want him lowering his shoulder when he's running, especially with coming off of a knee injury and a neck injury. And Collinsworth was talking about it last night. He goes, did you know this guy had a knee injury? I don't know how many times he said it last night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not what a quarterback's supposed to be doing. And I'm like, is he running to get hurt?
Yeah, I mean, it's with all the injuries that he's had, basically Joe Shane told him, listen, the reason why we were trying to draft a quarterback is because you've been hurt so much, and he plays still with this reckless abandon. And you know what's extra frustrating, too, about last night is that this NFC East is not a good division right now. Now, the Commanders are much better than we thought, and they hung in there with the Ravens, but the Cowboys stink, and I don't think the Eagles are very good either. So the Giants had a real opportunity to continue to keep themselves in a conversation with the division, and they still are, because I don't think the division's all that good, but a win last night, man, that would have gone a long way into making the fan base believe that they actually could have snuck into the playoffs somehow. So, and I don't know, like the Cowboys, Rob Sala's got to be thinking to himself, Mike McCarthy still got a job and I got fired 5 games in? I mean, what the hell? I thought he'd be done by last night on Jerry's 82nd birthday. They get their asses handed to him in the way that they did.
Yeah, well,
woo!
I would just say that there are a number of teams out there that are woefully disappointing, and a lot of it can be traced to how their quarterback has been playing. Jared Goff has been playing out of his mind. And, they lose Aiden Hutchinson, which is really unfortunate. But that team is one of the best teams in football. And Jared Goff and Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, who may not be there next year. He may be a new head coach somewhere. And probably should be, but it's not good. I could see Ben Johnson going to Jacksonville. Yeah, I could see that guy going to Jacksonville and trying to get Trevor Lawrence right. That would be the place where I would think he would go. I don't think he would go if the Cowboy job opened up. It was obviously a job that everybody would covet, but I would think that it also comes with a whole other level of just tension and anxiety because of who owns the team. And he gives a press conference after the game is over, does 2 press conferences during the week. I mean, no other owner does that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right. And he's been doing it for years, and he's got a weekly radio show. I mean, it's a lot. So that Cowboy story, of course, is going to be a big one throughout the country. Not as big here as we talk a ton about the Mets and Giants to get you ready for Yankees, Mets, and Jets tonight.